We did meet in auspicious circumstances, and neither of us really took to each other immediately. Chris had asked me to do a favor for her, and I had never met her, so I thought she was being quite bold, frankly, to ask somebody she didn't know to do a favor for her. And she thought I was a little bit snotty because I wouldn't do the favor for her. So we left not really caring for each other at all. And then we happened to meet because we were in the same circle of friends and had a mutual friend. And so we met again and again and again. And one pivotal time when we met was at a restaurant. A number of us had decided to go out for dinner before a theater event. And we were sitting very close to each other. We had a really interesting and fulsome conversation. And then we wanted to be closer to each other during the theater event. And so I think at that point we knew we liked each other better than the first meeting, which we can now laugh at, of course.
But neither of those were dates.
Neither of them were dates.
But the fact is, because I did have that when working at the dog washing job.
Yes.
I did have that thought of,
yeah,
I want to get together with somebody I'm not having an affair with.
That's right.
And just have a nice evening out, away from all of this. And I thought, I enjoyed that Arleen Perry. I'm going to call her.
That's right.
And we can just have a nice time together.
Even though she does drive an Aspen station wagon, I can still have a date with her. And so we did have a date, and it was really a wonderful date, and it lasted all evening, and very
we
memorable.
Explored various gay places that we knew of in the city.
Yeah.
That's our actual, we count that as our anniversary.
So that was June 28th, 1980. It was our first date.
We were in the Punjab, an Indian restaurant on Main.
Yeah, that's right.
In Vancouver.
Yeah.
And we went essentially across the street. We didn't get far to go to the Vanport, which was a very working class bar that tolerated lesbians who went there. Is really what it was. And we had to leave. Arleen said we had to leave there.
Well,
when somebody upended a table of drinks.
I thought that was a good time.
And they had an Alsatian under the table.
That seemed like wise. That seemed like
I thought that was a sensible
sense.
decision. Then we went dancing for hours.
I didn't know there was an alternative, but Arleen had discovered a bar that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
And we went over there after and danced.
Yeah, and we had a really nice time dancing. We came. I think we arrived home around 4:00 in the morning that night.
Well, we left the bar, made it across the Granville Street Bridge, caught a cab, went to an all-night pizza place.
Yeah, we were
the
home.
Olympia, we think, and then went home.
That's right.
Yeah, but our second date was much more exciting in a way. Well, it was physically very exciting.
Yes.
Because we had our little sort of play fight that you initiated.
Yeah.
Little sort of bears rolling on the floor, and then just made natural progress from them. But it was fun.
Yeah, it was.
We had a lot of fun, and so that.
By that time,
but we had a lot of nice sexual tension all the time.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
You were dating other people. You were dating other people.
We were dating numerous other people, and it was hard to keep it all straight.
Including one of the same people.
Yeah, including one person who we were both dating. Anyway, it was
Yeah. But we really had a lovely time.
Yeah.
And
we did.
And
then you decided that. When did you decide again? Can you just tell me when you decided again that Chris was the one?
Yes. So that all happened June 28th, and then sometime around January, and we had a retreat weekend together and got to know each other a little bit more.
Because you came up to see my parents.
Then I was going up with Chris to see her parents because I had decided that she was interesting enough that I wanted to know her family.
This is a true sign of the social worker. I want to meet your parents. Whereas I had actually just decided, and I've always been grateful for that, because I had just decided that the last time I saw my parents was the last time I was going to see them. And but because Arleen wanted to see them, and I knew they would like it, of course, I agreed to go back. And because I had an escort, I felt safer doing that.
Escort, yeah. So we went, and so after that, I think I decided that Chris was the one, and I dropped the other people.
The other thing that was funny about that trip is that we were just going from Vancouver to Comox, not that far. And it seemed so far and hard to me in a way that the Arlington Hotel at that time is at
Just north of Nanaimo.
North of Nanaimo, not very far. What's that place called?
Nanoose
Bay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said, oh, it's so far. I think we should just stay here the night.
So we stayed overnight.
So that was actually very helpful.
It's no more than a 4-hour drive, but we had to stay at the Arlington.
So that was helpful. That was how hard it was for me to get back after I decided I wasn't going there. But yeah, and actually we had another hotel we stayed in our early days. We'd gone out to the Chef and Carpenter for dinner and went to, what was that hotel in Vancouver?
Griffith or something like that.
The Griffith, something. Yeah, so we did that a couple of times. Anyway, so that made a big difference, that trip, actually.
So you met her parents, and now when did you decide, Chris?
Well, we went to a workshop in early February that same year. I think it was early February, hosted by Margot Adair on how to change yourself working with theta and breathing.
Yeah, I can't remember
and sort of visualization.
Yeah, lots of visualization.
It was very meaningful, very good. And somehow the way the workshop went and the fact that you were there and also interested and how we did all of that, it was just yet another way that so many sides of us worked together so well, I think. Anyway, that seemed a serious deepening for me.
Yeah.
Well, I had asked at the beginning of our affair that we not say, I love you. So because it just brings in, we had a very passionate attachment. There was no question of that. But I just didn't, which is why I had to say this. I just didn't want us saying that because it brings a lot of baggage with it. And I didn't want all that. And Arleen was kind enough to agree.
Fine. Yeah.
But then.
Yeah. So we come up to solstice that year, and Chris is going to be staying with me in my house. And I had decided I really had to tell her I loved her. At the same time, a note had arrived in the mail that I hadn't opened, and it was from Chris. And it was a little note written, sort of cut out, sort of collaged with magazine letters. That said, I love you, from an admirer. Of course, this is Chris. And so even as I was thinking, I have to tell her, Chris was sending me a note that said she had to tell me, and it just came together like that.
It was like a blackmail note.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that story. And
it was exactly the same day.
It was exactly the same day.
It worked out so well.
It was a Friday. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys both keep track of the dates. I mean, really nice. You celebrate everything. You celebrate your days.
Oh yes.
And then you have your wedding day. Right?
Yes.
When did your actual wedding day? Was it June 28th as well? Did you?
No, we did. We made it the 29th.
29th, right? You said you had to make the 29th.
We originally wanted the 28th, but there was the hotel that we had chosen had a large conference at the hotel, so we couldn't get a room. So we decided the 29th would be fine. So
in fact, better, because it doesn't mess with our first date anniversary.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it was good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So now it's 40 years later. 41 years.
41.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Miracle. Well, and we also have a December 28th date.
The move-in date.
That we always think we should, because we didn't move in together for 5.5 years after our
first. It was a long engagement.
After our first date.
5.5 years.
And partly because, I had been in a number of relationships that broke up after, sort of 2, 3, 4 years. And I just thought, it's one thing to break up with somebody, and that's hard enough. But have your living space messed with is, a part I wasn't interested in repeating. So I didn't want us to live together until our relationship exceeded my longest relationship.
Right. Okay.
And Arleen
and I had kids, so it was, I was back and forth with the kids. We shared the kid responsibility. So that suited me just fine, not to be living with Chris. Yeah.
But we spent a lot of time together. I came most weekends
We
when
did,
Arleen
yeah.
was going to be with the kids.
Yeah.
And we had fun playing with the kids. I actually liked all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
As it turned out.
As it turned out, being a stepmother was pretty good.
Oh, no. I never called myself a stepmother.
Okay. All right.
No, I was very careful about that sort of thing. I felt like I didn't want to be their mom. I didn't want to be their dad. And that was Arleen's responsibility. I wasn't going to step on any of those toes or Peter's.
Yeah.
And I just said, if, like when Pete went into the hospital one time, I think
he'd broken his
smashed both his heels in a skiing problem, that Peter the younger. I just said, if people want to know what I am, anybody asks you anything like that, you can just say, I'm an aunt. I'm an aunt. And that worked well for me because I had a grandmother who had a female lover, as far as I know, as well as a husband. And she was called my aunt, who wasn't really my aunt.
Right.
So I was happy to have that role. That role had cachet for me. And it was really handy, I think. The kids said later, you can say if you want. They made that little film, remember?
Oh, yeah. I can't remember what they said, but in any case, it suited me that Chris wasn't calling herself a mom, didn't need to be called mom. And I think the kids were pretty happy that I had a female partner because it didn't replace their dad. And anyway, so for them, it simplified.
They were happy.
Yeah.
They thought it was better because there was nobody trying to take anybody's place in our relationship.
Yeah.
My question for you is, do you have some wisdom? I have two things for you, two questions, really. One is, do you have wisdom for others? And secondly, one is, what makes you work? You came out in a time where not everybody was coming out. And you also did a lot of the work that allowed people to come out the way that they're coming out, feel free and comfortable to come out now. And so, do you have advice for anyone thinking about, not sure about who they are?
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Wow. It's so easy to come out now. I think it's probably not easy all over the place. There are, I'm sure, easier spots in the world, like urban areas, where it's much easier and there's so much more support. And I have to say, Jane, when I came out, I thought it was easy. There was feminism through the 70s, and a lot of that feminism supported lesbian relationships. In fact, I felt like I wasn't quite feminist enough without having a lesbian relationship. So at that point, it was very political and it was very easy to come out, I thought.
Because we got together in 1980.
That's right.
Whereas I was coming out
in
1960, it was hard to tell. It was one of those slow starts.
Much harder.
But I was at the first Canadian March for Gay Rights in Ottawa, and that was in 71. And and I worked with the Toronto Community Homophile Association of Toronto, chat, and went to schools and talked and was actually I worked hard for where we are now, really.
Right.
And at that time, but as a radical lesbian, I didn't believe in marriage. But now what I think is it's so good, and it's so good because of the bridging it allows. Because
that's true.
People that are still not comfortable with words like lesbian or queers or gays even, or any of that, it just brings up bad things they've been taught in their heads. Like we've had people, I often tell the story of the woman in the elevator. Yeah. An older woman, we get asked if we're sisters all the time. Yeah. Anyway, so the woman in the elevator says, not that we think we look like, oh, are you two sisters? Yeah. And we said, no. And then I said, but we did just get married. And we've been together 30 years. And so as soon as you say those magic words, we just got married, it's like the people have tapes in their heads about what you say back when people say they just got married. They say, oh, that's wonderful. wonderful.
Married is one of those cheerful
Or
words.
congratulations.
Yeah.
And then instead of it starting to be a weird, bad conversation where they don't know what to say.
Because if you say,
And are you the devil? Or,
if you say
know.
no, but we're lesbians, and so you just say, if you bring lesbian into the conversation, they go,
they don't know if that's.
Can I get off this elevator? I don't know.
But they just don't know if it's okay. They don't know if you're okay with it.
Yeah.
People are just awkward.
Yeah.
Whereas if you give them something that they can understand, that they already have good ideas in their head about some
the translation word,
then they start having a reasonable conversation with you.
Yeah.
Discover that you're a reasonable person.
Yeah.
And there has been a rapprochement.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
I think.
Bridge that gap. You've bridged that gap by using a construct that everybody can relate.
That's right. Understands and knows to like. Yeah.
There are people out there that think that gay people have saved marriage.
Yeah, of course, and we have.
Who knows?
Yeah. Anyway, in terms of wisdom, that's certainly one of them. But the other thing is, I really like being in a relationship. There are people who don't like to be in a relationship. They're more solitary. They like to have their own life. They may have even been married and then discover after a divorce or a death that they really approve of their own now single life. But no, that wouldn't be for me. I really like being in a relationship. I like having my person. That's my Chris. And so it's not as though it's been, beer and Skittles the whole time, but we keep trying to learn ways that we can be more harmonious together. And I think over time we've actually moved in that direction. So we have been called feisty.
Yeah, we still have fights.
Yeah, we do. And we are, but we do try to keep it as harmonious as possible for our own mental health, really.
Yeah. I mean, really, if it is kind of remarkable in a way that we can do it, because we are both eldest daughters.
Okay.
So it's like having two alpha dogs.
Yeah.
And we're both right a lot of the time.
Thank God.
Most of the time, we think. Both of us always. But fortunately, we both often are. And we recognize that. But I think this business of where we didn't live together for 5.5 years was a really useful thing.
Yes, it was.
Because there are so many things you discover about people. I think it's, I don't know. I just think that's useful. I think there's a lot to learn about being with somebody and how to do that. And I think when we got married, we were so sure when they asked if we did, we certainly did. There wasn't a question of that.
Yeah.
But I thought to myself almost immediately, how does anybody do this after 1 year, 6 months, 2 years, 5 years? How do they do that? We had learned so much over that whole time. But that 5-year non-living together, and in fact, we maintain, like as couples go, we are more fused than most. We're both women. We both like a lot of the same things. We like literature. We like readings. We like dancing. Certain culture things. We like dancing. We both like a neat house, thank the good Lord. And I think that's important.
Very important.
We both cook, and things like that. But what was I going to say?
About that 5-year gap and how you.
Yeah, I was talking about that. Yeah.
Because so many people now, the kind of the pattern is you date for sometimes a short time. And then you live together. You decide, oh well, let's try it out. Let's try it out. Let's live together.
Yeah. I know what I was aiming towards saying though. What I was going to say is even now, I was very inspired by Virginia Woolf.
Okay.
Just even the title, A Room of One's Own. We still have our own bedrooms and our own offices.
And our own bank accounts.
We also have a joint bank account.
Yeah.
And we do share money and back and forth. And we are now joint tenants on our houses. But And we don't use our bedrooms all the time separately, of course. And in fact, probably mostly we don't. But it's nice that they're there.
Mhm.
It's nice when people get sick. It's nice when people come over and need a place to stay. There's a million uses for it. But one of them is a way of getting space when you're very together.
Mhm.
And so in some ways we're very together,
Mhm.
but in other ways we take a little more space that other people don't take.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I mean, and that is super important to allow your partner space.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because
And-
some people will try to suck everything.
Yeah.
over life.
Yeah. I
And
know.
It's nice if you can both breathe and both.
Yes.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
And Arleen will go off to a writing retreat. I'll
Yeah.
go off to a meditation retreat.
Yeah.
Sometimes we go to meditation retreats together, but they're kind of a separate thing anyway. We'd have a separate room if we can when we do that.
But so especially though for two women together, Jane, as you can imagine, because I think the gender difference allows for more separation in most marriages anyway, because there are different roles and different sort of friendship circles and that kind of thing. For Chris and I, there's a lot of overlap, so we really have to make sure that we take space for ourselves. Yeah.
And are able to do that. Oh, and in fact, we prefer to eat all our meals together,
Yeah,
really,
yeah, we
pretty
do.
much, except if we're sharing them with somebody else or if we go out somewhere
Yeah.
separately. But
Yeah.
so there's a lot of togetherness. So it's good that we keep some spatial separation from time to time.
Right. No, I think that's good advice, to make sure that you've got some space,
Mhm,
Mhm.
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 a little bit of space.
And we do divide up some tasks.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
That, we
Which
have our
is
little
helpful.
specialties
Yeah.
in
Sure,
there.
everybody does. Yeah. I mean, but that is part of advice too, is to understand each person's role.
Mhm.
You are the person who's my tech person.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
right.
That sort of
Or
thing.
you are I mean, people have different roles, or you are
Mhm.
Yeah.
you might both cook, but one of you might be the really good baker.
Right.
It's true. I
That's
like to
right.
bake.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's different. So the advice
Mhm.
is to make sure that you understand and appreciate each other's roles, because
Yes. And appreciation is huge too.
And that you can be flexible if the other person, sometimes a person wants to infringe on somebody's area a little. And we have to be a little open to that, I think. Don't you?